2025 can be the year you actually achieve your dream life and become that ideal version of you, the one that is most pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But it takes a lot of work and a lot of planning and a lot of dreaming and most importantly a lot of executing. So in this video, let's dive into how we can make the most out of the next year and how we can stay consistent with our goals. First, let's start off with a very simple question, but very important. How was your 2024? What goals did you achieve? What goals didn't you achieve? And basically ask yourself what worked for you and what didn't. Because it's very easy to set the same goals for the new year, but if you didn't manage to achieve the goals, there must be a reason why. Figure out why you didn't achieve certain goals and then either change your goal or change the way you approach your goal. Okay, so I thought it would be a nice idea to go over all the goals that I set for 2024 for myself and specifically share with you which goals I didn't achieve and why I didn't achieve these goals. First, let's start with my wins. So I actually achieved, I think, about half of the goals that I set for myself. For example, I reached 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. Alhamdulillah, I'm so grateful for that and it's so exciting. I also managed to consistently work out. I got my master's in development economics. I managed to consistently write in my journal and I also got into the habit of reading Quran. So those were the goals that I set for myself that I achieved. And then for the goals that I didn't achieve, now that I'm looking at the goals that I didn't achieve, I already can tell why I didn't achieve them. The first one is to memorize a part of the Quran, and I didn't achieve this by far because this goal was just too big. I literally said memorize Juz 30 when I have only a few surahs memorized. So memorizing an entire Juz is crazy large and it's too overwhelming, and I never even started with that goal just because I thought it's not even possible. So this goal was just too big without a real action plan, because of course it's possible for you to achieve super big, huge goals, but if you don't have an actual plan on how to achieve these goals, then it's not really realistic, nor is it good for you to set that goal. So that is the first goal that I didn't achieve. Another goal that I didn't achieve was to read 25 books. This goal I almost achieved, but in the end I think this goal was not right for me because the idea of setting a number of books kind of discouraged me. So I felt like reading just for the sake of hitting that number, and this kind of made me read books that I actually didn't want to read or didn't feel like reading, when for me reading should be something that is joyful, something that I do for relaxation. So it's odd for me personally to set a goal for this, but I do understand that if you want to read more, it's logical to set a number just so that you can actually track whether you have read more. But it didn't work for me, so I should think of how I can set the goal of reading more without feeling pressured to reading a certain number of books and reading just for the sake of hitting that number. So that's definitely something that I'm going to think about. And finally, another goal that I didn't achieve was to become a morning person. And becoming a morning person is definitely one of the goals on my yearly goals resolutions list for years now, and I've never actually managed to achieve it. I do think that I have kind of I'm okay with waking up earlier, but I would like to be that person that just really wakes up very early, gets all her stuff done, and then just easily goes throughout the rest of her day. But I'm just not that person yet. And I didn't achieve this goal. I don't know. I honestly have no excuse. I think I may have been too lazy or not disciplined enough, and I definitely want to continue this goal for 2025, but I will have to think about how I'm going to actually work on this, because again, just as the goal with memorizing the Quran, I didn't have a clear plan for how I was going to achieve these goals. So those were just a few of my goals that I did and didn't achieve. Now let's get to the vision board and the goal setting, and later on in this video we'll actually make a good plan on how to achieve the goals that we set for ourselves, so that at the end of next year we don't have to go through an entire list again of everything we didn't achieve. Now that you know where you want to go and what your goals are, let's visualize it as well. So I usually do this with a vision board, and this year I decided to make an actual physical one. Last year I only made one on my laptop, and even though I definitely achieved a lot of goals, I feel like it's such a nice, lovely thing to also make a physical one and to hang it on the wall somewhere in my home. So of course I'm just choosing pictures from Pinterest because that is the best place, I think, for aesthetic pictures. And I made the mindset shift that your vision board is not just your vision, but it's basically like a movie poster for the next year of your life. Or maybe not a movie poster, because posters for movies usually don't have that much on it. But let's just see your vision board as if you were making it a year from now and you were describing the feeling of what your year has been like. So it's more of a summary of 2025 and what it has brought to you. Really choose the pictures that embody what you want to achieve and who you want to become. And pretend you're a kid in school describing to someone else how your year has been. And this is the vision board, this is the summary board that you have brought for your presentation. Okay, so before we move on, I would like to share my vision board with you and all the components that I put inside of it. So it's divided into a few sections. First of all, 2025, of course, and then basically the whole top part is the deen part, because I really want to increase my iman and basically become closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I think the best way to do that is, aside from prayer, of course, is through learning more about Islam. So basically this entire part is about studying Islam, and this part is about gratitude. Then on this left side I have a part on basically my home and how I want to spend more time focusing on Pilates, spending time at home. I want to bake more, so basically focus on my inner world as well as my outer home. And then at the bottom side here I have my creative side. I want to create more, meaning that I want to start a junk journal, which is basically a diary filled with little things that you come across during the day, for example receipts or stickers or photos. And I also want, of course, to continue creating YouTube videos. That's why I have the camera. So yeah, that's what I have on my vision board. It's basically Deen on the top and then Dunya at the bottom, I guess. So this is my vision board, and now it's time to start planning. And of course, for the new year, I have a new bullet journal. It's the Leuchtturm 1917 bullet journal in, I think this is called Cherry Red, and I cannot wait to start this one. I will be using this journal as my junk journal, so I'll be making it kind of a diary, but in an artsy way. So let's also make my vision board in this journal, just so that I also have it with me, my vision board, at all times. So yeah, let's make this vision board in my journal, as well as really specifically list all the goals that I have and how I am planning on achieving these goals as well. Basically, I wrote down a few lines of the things that I want to be able to say next year. For example, I am doing Islamic studies consistently. I am spending lots of time at home. I am learning Arabic. I'm starting a podcast, etc. So I told ChatGPT about these feelings that I want to have in the next year, or basically what I want to be able to say in 2025. And based on that, I asked ChatGPT which categories of goals I should create, because I never know how many categories I should create. Sometimes I feel like I'm making too much, and sometimes I feel like I'm making too little. So I thought, why not just ask ChatGPT how many categories I should create based on these lines, and I think that's definitely a good idea for you to do as well. So ChatGPT said to divide it into spiritual growth, personal development, content creation, health and wellness, and finally home and lifestyle. And I think these are good. I think 5 categories is very nice. It's not too much, but also not too little. So now I'm just going to create a page for every category and just basically go over the goals that I want to have specifically. So you know, those SMART goals where you set measurable goals that are also realistic and all of that stuff that is part of the SMART goal setting. I'm just going to write out the SMART goals for each category and then also how I plan on achieving them. And this is the essential part, because I know I am already feeling it. I am feeling such a dopamine rush just because of this very nice looking page and my nice looking vision board. That's all lovely. I am very happy that I made my vision board, but I cannot go ahead and think that the work is done. Just because I am writing down my goals definitely does not mean I am achieving it. I am getting a bit closer just by envisioning what I want to achieve, and I'm getting a bit closer just by making a good plan. But even planning isn't doing the thing. So I definitely still need to work on how I'm actually achieving these goals and not just feel good about how pretty my vision board looks, because I'm definitely guilty of that, of making a nicely looking vision board and then feeling like I'm already kind of done with it, but I haven't even actually done anything. So I finished writing out my why and also my how, and I think these are the 2 most important components when it comes to setting your goals for the new year. The last thing I'll do is to set the goals that I have right now into the next 3 months and prioritize. Because scheduling ahead for the next year is just too overwhelming. So I use the 12-week year framework, where basically you treat the first quarter of the year and all the other quarters as a year on its own, and you set the main goals for the next 3 months and focus on them. Creating new habits and routines is a difficult thing to do. That's why I decided to focus on one goal each month, so that I can fully dedicate all my focus on that goal until it has become a habit, and then it is on to the next goal. This way, reaching your goals is really about creating new systems for yourselves, and systems aren't created just like that. I will no longer focus on all my goals just in January, because I don't want to burn myself out. So I'll be taking it slow and steady with one goal every month. So that was how I planned my goals for 2025. I am doing it 1 month at a time, and for January my goal is to really get into the habit of doing Islamic studies. I am starting the Z Academy, I think that is what it's called, in January, but it's January the 20th. So before that I want to basically build up the habit of doing Islamic studies on the day-to-day basis, or maybe every other day. And I will try to combine this with the morning routine part, because like I said, I really want to be able to wake up in the mornings, but the reason why I couldn't really build that morning routine is because there was not really a purpose to waking up earlier. I've decided I'm going to try to do the Islamic studies and the morning routine together and build this up in January. I will definitely take you along with me on that, and please let me know in the comments what your goals are for 2025. Let's grow together. I hope this video was beneficial for you. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one.